In this week's segment of As the IRS Turns, Koskinen,
Wherever we can, we follow the law.
Barry Sotero,
Not even mass corruption, not even a smidgen of corruption.
and that ever-favorite Lois Lerner is herself,
Thank you. I'm not good at math.
for another week of As the IRS Turns. It continues.
I love that. I love the beginning, but this ties in perfectly because it's at the same time frame. It's actually right at the beginning of this IRS saga that this happened because it went on for some years after that.
Yes.
And first, I want to welcome everybody back to the Trust Radio Network here on AM 560.
The Answer.
Here with the co-host Jim Leahy, our technical producers Deborah Schreiner, and our guest this week is C. Stephen Tucker of HealthInsuranceMentors.com. And go ahead, Jim.
And we left C. Stephen Tucker at the end of the last segment. We were just talking about how you were going on that 4-time Emmy award-winning show to meet up with Bill. Am I correct?
That is correct, yes.
So let's start right there.
Yes. By the way, as a sidebar, I was in the U.S. House of Representatives, and I watched Lois Lerner held in contempt of Congress. I was actually there.
That's great.
Yes. Okay. On the way to Ohio.
Nothing's happened to her.
Yeah, right. Nothing, sadly. So I'm on my way to Ohio, and never before have I ever had a problem with TSA. You know, I just unzip my pants and let them do what they want. So this time, I'm flagged for some reason. I'm taken into a little separate room, and I'm asked all these interrogated questions, right? They finally let me get my flight, but that's never happened to me before. So I get to Ohio. We're ready to shoot the episode.
Coincidence.
Yeah. Ready to shoot the episode, and I get to meet Bill for the first time, which was amazing.
What was the name of the show?
Facing Life Head On. If you go to cstephentucker.com and click Victims of Obamacare, there's a search there. You'll see the whole story. You'll see the episode and everything. All right, so I get there, and I said, did you have any problem, by the way, getting here, going through TSA? He goes, yeah, I was pulled off to the side in a little room in question. I go, isn't that funny? So was I, right? So apparently we were on somebody's watch list. So fast forward. It turns out that I'm hitting Mr. Schneckenberg's hitting my attorney is hitting a brick wall. Can't go any further. Won't find out with the IRS why it is I supposedly owe $5,000 from 2003, $2,600 from 2007, whatever it was. And you'll see all the IRS letters on that blog. And so he said, I can't go any further. I need extra assistance. So what do? I call the most powerful woman in the state of Illinois, Denise Catoni, the Illinois State Tea Party coordinator, who knows everybody and who's a dear friend of mine. So she calls Mark. Who was that? No, my name is Mark.
Mark Kirk.
Mark Kirk, thank you.
I'm sorry, I was
who was our U.S. Senator
How
at the time.
quickly we forget.
How quickly we forget, right. I'm so sorry, Mark, if you're hearing me anywhere. So Mark, to his credit, put his entire staff on the case. And when a U.S. Senator, one of 100 lucky few people on this planet, calls the IRS, it's a lot more weight than a local attorney like Steve Leahy calling, or even Mr. Steckenberg. So immediate resolution. I said, Mark, how is it that I owe debt? If I owe debt, he said, well, they're saying you bounced a check from 2003. I said, I don't bounce checks at Jewel Esco, let alone to the IRS. I would never do that. He said, okay. I said, I'll tell you what, I will write a check today and make full restitution for the bogus amount they say I owe, as long as you provide me a copy of said bounced check. That's all I want is just show me this bounced check, because I don't have a copy of it, right? Yeah. Next day, Mark sends me a letter. You'll see the letter from U.S. Senator Mark Kirk on my blog. Your entire debt has been expunged from the Internal Revenue Service. So it went away.
So just magically, like
just
that.
magically, thanks to a U.S. Senator.
Now luckily, I've had those. I've been lucky enough to get those for my clients.
I'm sure you have. I heard nothing but good things about you.
That it's gone. It's like,
yes,
unbelievable.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
Bill's debt, it turns out, Bill worked for the U.S. military. How he contracted cancer the first time was in his duties as a member of our military. And so he was cut a check in 2009 to retire on from the rest of his life to make restitution for his injuries
and his work
in the line of duty. So that amount was to be tax-free for the rest of his life. And it remained tax-free for 2009, 10, 11, 12, 13, until Bill had the audacity to go on the Megyn Kelly show on then President's, enemy, Fox News, and criticize the president, rightfully, by the way, for the law that he passed. All of a sudden...
Man's fighting for his life.
Yes. All of a sudden, he gets a letter from the IRS, and the IRS wants a tax amount on the entire amount that was supposed to be tax-free, that he was supposed to retire on. So guess who got him out of his jam? It wasn't Nikki Haley. It was former North Carolina Senator Kay Hagan, a registered Democrat senator, right, who was so appalled by what happened under his story that she went to bat for him and wiped it out. But just imagine if I didn't have the connections I have, and Bill didn't have the connections he had. And we're just the average American. Guess what?
More about your knowledge too about why this was wrong to begin with.
In the beginning, right?
Because here's a man what is going to just throw his hands up and say, let nature take its course.
That's it. So it's a remarkable story. The worst part about it is if I didn't have the connections I had, I was an average American, I either would not have Christmas because I'd have this new debt, or I wouldn't be able to send my child to college for the next semester. I would suffer. And that's the power this rogue IRS has, or at least had under Barack Obama. They weaponized these federal agencies against innocent Americans, like Bill, who's not just innocent, but served his country honorably, battling cancer, and you take away his health insurance policy. Which is just remarkable.
Well, any regular listener to this show knows that I take the position that nobody's too small that they can't be crushed by the federal government. And so here's these two people, just regular Americans, trying to battle through life.
Right.
Given the new regulations, and man, you step out of line, and they're gonna put you right back in.
And it's so sad too.
It is sad.
And they just that was the whole IRS saga. That was just that was in the heat of the moment right there.
And of course, they would
IRS
still tell you
saga.
today that all this TSA
And that they did nothing
TSA,
wrong.
that was just a coincidence.
Yeah.
Oh, the IRS coming out, just a coincidence.
Yeah, they didn't do anything wrong.
And we would never do that. We would never sick the government on you. That would be wrong.
Yep.
And Barack Obama would never do that because he's a man of the people.
Yep.
And it's just. And again, this is
It's
why
just
we
Chicago politics. It's a
and that's
Chicago
what
political move.
I always said that. It's like when they brought Chicago politics to national level.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do now with the IRS, right? One of the things they do now is they go after your passport, right? So they never did that before. That's kind of a Chicago thing, right? You don't pay your taxes to the Illinois Department of Revenue.
You can't leave.
And you know what happens is they take your license away from you.
Oh, yes,
and
they will.
do it very quickly.
Oh, yes, they will.
And you won't work, and you'll tell them. I was representing someone with a restaurant once, and there's 15 employees. We say, hey, let's try to work out some sort of payment plan or something. No. And I was like, well, there's 15 people going to lose their job. He should have paid his taxes. And they just buried the guy. And this is what happens. And you step out, especially again, you get big time politicians, as you said, with the senator showing you the power that he can do to fix it.
Right.
The power they have to meddle it all up to begin with.
That's exactly right.
So if they have the power to fix it, they have the power to put it in to start it on the roll anyway.
And it just gets me how people deny the fact that, because I was just having a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago about how they denied these. Oh, the government didn't do that against people. What does a government mean anyway? I'm like, really? You really believe that?
They're public servants.
You're going to look me right in the eye and tell me that this is a lie. That this is I'm fabricating this. That I have had too much to take in in one sitting, and that I'm off my rocker.
So I'm a Godfather fan. I love the Godfather, right?
Yeah.
So when Kate says to Michael, well, my father's just like a senator or any other important guy. Well, they don't have men killed. Who's being naive now?
Right, exactly.
It's like
that's a great
really,
line.
really, it's like you think that this stuff just happens. And again, I think, and I don't want to get off on some tangent, but that's the battle we're having now, right? And that's this whole impeachment thing. This is that battle of who's going to win,
right?
And it's all about exposure, in my opinion. They're exposed. Trump's trying to expose, and they're trying to expose Trump for being I think a lot of fabricated stuff. And he's trying to expose them and Biden and all them for the corruption that's inherent. Yep. And I think most Americans would, if you told them, you think that the senator's family illegally or I shouldn't say improperly make money. I mean, I think 90% of Americans would shake their heads. Of course.
Insider trading is legal.
Oh. Yes.
In Washington, D.C. You try that here, you're going to federal prison.
A lot of things they do,
That
if
is
you
so
try
funny.
it here, you go to federal prison.
We're running out of time. Let's get your phone number.
Phone number again, 630-674-1551. Even Medicare, if you're trying to navigate that maze, call me. Don't do it alone.